I have a good friend named Jessica, who I've known since high school. She was very enthusiastic about all the media she liked, being able to talk about any of it for hours on end. One day, her interests changed. She went from talking about movies and music to astral projection, quantum immortality, and premonition through meditation. She told me she thought she could see the future by closing her eyes, then imagining a mental circle representing the idea that one couldn't see the future. According to her, the circle had a free space in the center. She would put most of her focus on the circle so she could see the future through the space. None of it made sense to me, and it kinda came as a surprise, but I let her air it out. She was pretty enthusiastic about these concepts, and it was normal to switch topics. After talking about her new obsessions for about a week, she stopped talking to me. She wouldn't answer my messages. I no longer even saw a single scene receipt under any of them. She wouldn't even answer my phone calls either. I went through 2 years of anxiety attacks with some sleepless nights here and there. Was she okay? Did I do something shitty without realizing? She was the only friend I had, as I was a bit of a loner with no more avenues to make friends. The biggest downside of her ditching me was me not having anybody to talk to about my daily stresses or anxieties. Some hours ago, there was a knock at my front door. Upon answering it, there was a dark gray laptop sitting on my doorstep. There was a note taped to it. This is what it read. "Hello Heather, I have no time to address the past couple of months. I wanted to look for something interesting, and I can say for sure I found it. Sorry if you felt abandoned, especially with how much of a loner I know you are. I am giving you this laptop to warn you about what is to come, so you can prepare and be safe. There are a bunch of video files on there. Watching the videos will give you a small taste of what's to come and what I've discovered. I'll be happy to go into more detail in about a month. Also, do not put anything else on this computer." I brought the computer inside, expecting there to be some videos by untrustworthy psychics or guys in robes speaking nonsense. Jessica wasn't like that though. She always called those people out. I set the computer down on my coffee table, then booted it up. There was one icon on the home screen, a folder. The folder's name was a bunch of numbers, 518-1195. I double-clicked the folder, then a list of files popped up. Each of them had a calendar date as their title. I double-clicked the first file, July 26, 2000, MP4. A grainy view of a cornfield began to play. The camera operator zoomed in, then out, as a woman spoke in a bold tone. "There, we're here. What do you want me to look at?" The camera was turned to film a taller man with dark hair and a tank top. He looked like he was in his 30s. He spoke with a shaky tone. "I just need you to look. Don't stop looking." "At what?" "The field. There's..." The woman gasped. The camera was turned to the field, but shook and fell into the grass. Painful screams erupted from off camera. They sent chills far down my spine. What was happening? Was I watching a video of two people's last moments? Something dark and round hovered around within the nearby patch of corn stalks. It made a sudden jolt to the right, making my stomach sink. The thing hovered off camera, then the screaming got more intense. The video ended. All I could do was sit still and wonder what any of that meant. What was that thing hovering around in the field? What did it do that made those people scream? The next file had October 10th, 2001, MP4 as its title. Upon opening the file, the footage began to play. This footage was grainier. It began in your average small living room. A lamp provided a little bit of light to the room until someone off-screen switched the lamp off. The room went dark, then a beautiful transparent orange and yellow orb formed in the center of the room, emitting a dim glow. It was calming to look at, a welcome change from the previous video. The next video was July 15th, 2002, MP4. Dozens of horses gathered around in a circle on an open field of green grass. They stared at the area of grass in front of them as if something was there, then the grass flattened. Like an invisible force punched down on it. The horses took a couple steps back, then, seconds later, they hurried away. Some ran in circles. It was an odd video, nothing much to understand, but seeing a bunch of horses looking genuinely terrified still set off an alarm. Something happened, but I don't know what. The videos that came after had a similar inexplicably weird tone. Some showed phantom orbs of light. Others showed people and animals running from invisible forces, flattening and pushing things. Why did my friend want me to watch these? Despite how confusing, and at times somewhat silly, these videos were, I grabbed a USB stick and copied the files from the computer onto it. I lost a year's worth of photos last September, and I wasn't going to let that happen again. Every time I receive videos from someone I care about, I back them up, then put them on a USB I lock away in a box. Anyway, I made it to a file titled January 30th, 2016, MP4 when I looked at the time, 1 a.m. This was the first technical interaction I had with Jessica in a long time. I also wanted to know what she wanted me to prepare for. With that, I decided to stay up for another hour. The 2016 footage began with a young boy, probably around the age of 10, red-faced and bawling his eyes out on a couch. He screamed, "Get it out." A ball was held up to the kid's nose. Then, a long thin insect with long legs began to crawl out of the boy's left nostril. Chills ran all over me. They got worse as the insect seemed to have no end. More of it kept crawling out of the boy's nose as the boy shut his eyes and continued to scream. Even when the insect reached the floor, it still hadn't left the boy's nose. I wanted to look away. I was terrified of insects and what they could do to the inside of one's body. And this was most definitely not an exception. But my curiosity got the best of me. The ball was placed on the floor. Then the insect wrapped itself around it. Even when it had covered the ball, it still hadn't left the boy's nose. If I saw that thing myself, I wouldn't know what to do with it. An image popped up showing a similar long insect on a kitchen floor. It managed to cover half of the floor. I gagged. The video ended without showing the insect completely leaving the boy. Not that I wanted to see any more of it. There was a loud banging on my front door. When I answered it, a middle-aged male police officer stood at my doorstep. He asked me if I had received a new laptop. I told him yes. He then asked me if the laptop had a file containing inexplicably weird videos. I told him yes. He then asked if he could see them. I offered to show him, then ran downstairs, grabbed the laptop and carried it up to him. Hopefully this man had answers about Jessica. Watching one of the videos, the officer's eyes widened. He took out a phone and started texting. Some seconds later, he slid his phone back into his pocket. He grabbed his radio, then held it up to his face. "This is the one, move in." I leaned out of my door and watched as he walked off down my gravel driveway. Before I could utter a single word, a team of people in dark tactical gear marched around the corner. Once they reached me, 3 of them grabbed me by the shoulders. I was gripped by the arms as well. A woman's voice ordered the agents to search for any reproduction or notes taken of the footage, and so a dozen of the agents stormed inside. I was patted down, even scanned, then I was held tight with rifles aimed straight at my face. My legs were trembling. What in the hell was going on? Who were these agents? What did they want with the videos? Out of the corner of my left eye, I saw a woman with dark hair wearing a suit. She walked up to me, then gave me a deep stare before speaking. "Tell me your name." "Heather Wilson." "We traced a personal computer containing footage you're not authorized to view. Can you tell us where you obtained it?" "It was given to me by my friend, Jessica Rowan. We've known each other since high school." The agent pressed on until giving me an NDA to sign. An hour later, the team left. I had looked for labels and agency logos, but there were none. These guys were unmarked. I shut my door, then locked it. I was almost limping as I walked back to my living room, wondering what the hell just happened. I removed the rug, lifted the carpet, grabbed the box, then opened it up. To my relief, the USB stick was still sitting there. What was there that I wasn't allowed to see? I plugged the USB into my laptop and the files loaded up. As I scrolled through the files, I noticed the file names had dates. Post dating April 2024. The last file had 2026 in its title. I dread finding out something terrifying I cannot prevent will happen to me, although maybe it will be something I can prevent. Or maybe my friend got a hold of some test videos she wasn't supposed to see. Never mind. As I wrote that sentence, I saw what I thought was a centipede crawling out from under my couch. My heart sank, but what made it worse was that the thing was too long. It kept crawling out from under the couch, then, at one point, it turned to me, then sped at me. My gut sank, then I sprinted around then away from it. That thing isn't crawling inside me and causing a mess with my organs. I hid in the bathroom and eventually fell asleep. Then I woke up to the fucking thing digging into my nose. My head was tingling too. The pit in my stomach was like an electric shock. I grabbed the insect, then I pulled it, attempting to yank it out. Big mistake. I went lightheaded, then woke up on the bathroom floor with a tingling all over my head and the constant feeling I'm about to vomit. I called my doctor. I have no idea what this insect is or what it's going to do to me. Honest to God, I hope this won't have any long-lasting effects. I need to watch those videos. Fuck, I wish Jessica would answer my messages again. The videos my friend gave me were stuck in my mind. Every little detail gave me shivers. The worst part was that I needed to watch the rest of them. But first, there was a long insect squirming around in my head. There was tingling. I shivered every time I felt the tingling shift. I vomited once. I went to the hospital and stayed there until some professionals asked me questions, then used a dark ball to get the insect out of me. I asked if they could just cut the insect in half, but they said it was like a tapeworm. Cutting it would result in there being two of it. After all was said and done, I was told nobody would believe me if I spoke of any of it. Then I was let out of the hospital unusually quick. After I got back home, I started watching the rest of the videos. In a video titled March 27, 2017, MP4, the camera operator walks along a dirt path in the middle of the night. There was a flickering white light in the distance. As the camera operator approached it, the audio cut out. As they inched even closer, the light shined without flickering. Up close, it was a transparent glowing orange and yellow orb. I had seen it in the other videos, and it was stunning and calming as ever. What was it? Why was it so important? Like, I get it. It exists. But I wanted to know the significance of it. I clicked out of the video, then scrolled down to some random day in 2025. I clicked, then the video loaded. It began with a view of a drive along a road between two endless fields of grass. The camera panned to the passenger side window, where a black orb with a shifty gooey appearance floated alongside the car. A chill ran down my spine. It was so realistic I couldn't put weight on the idea of the video being a scene from an unreleased film. The orb floated into the car phasing through the window. Then the camera turned to the windshield, which the orb phased through. It hovered over to the hood, then sunk itself in. Seconds later, there was an ear-puncturing bang, followed by a cut to video of water from a fire hose being used to extinguish a car fire. The thought of anybody having died made my heart sink a little. There was no proof this was from the future, but it did show me how much of a monster the dark orb intended to be. Although I wish there was some context to why the orb did what it did, it was a monster. Every one of the following videos showed the orb doing terrible things, possessing those in relationships only to sour the terms by doing unspeakable things, possessing people in the middle of the night to leave them in a fetal position on the ground, cornering people onto bridges until said people chose to jump. They were all harrowing. I started skipping videos, only for the ones I chose to watch to be just as creepy and horrible. Eventually, I just scrolled right down to the second to last one. It was dated July 29th, 2026. The video began with the camera operator filming CNN as it played on a TV. A helicopter camera west of Chicago's skyline was focused on a pitch-black patch of sky above Lake Michigan. The darkness of the patch deviated from the calm blue of the rest of the sky and was terrifying. All of my insides dropped. This was the future. The headline at the bottom read, "Unknown dark patch of sky appears above Lake Michigan." The camera operator got up, then went up to their window. The sky was clear blue. They sped outside, and in the direction they were facing, the dark patch could be seen above the homes and trees. It was so vast, dark, and beyond creepy, the pit inside me grew stronger. The camera sat on the dark patch for 5 minutes, zooming in and out, then the video ended. I sat back in my seat. There it was, and it was too realistic to have been staged or edited, and it was far from looking at all AI generated. I was more confused than terrified until I recalled those agents who stormed my home. Fuck. I was eager to watch the final video immediately. The final video was dated September 30th, 2027. It began on a road lined up with shops. Some were boarded up, others had shattered out windows. The sidewalks and road were empty, and dozens of black dots erratically moved about in the sky. Is this the culmination of the dark orbs? None of this made any sense in the first place. There was no way this was real. It had to have been a series of leaked fakes created by the government as a training test or something. I clicked out of the video, then shut my laptop down. I went on to do something more upbeat instead of watching stuff I wasn't supposed to watch. For the following couple of nights, I had nightmares about the dark orb. It would be chasing me through an endless field, and it always caught up to me. Then it would touch me, giving me a cold stinging. I'd wake up in cold sweats every time. On the first night, I was sitting up on my bed, wondering how I was supposed to prepare. I knew nothing about the orbs. How was I supposed to protect myself other than hide in the mountains? On the second night, I decided a late night jog would calm my nerves. In the middle of my jog, an ominous growl came from behind me. I turned my head back. It was the fucking orb, floating still, a couple of feet above the sidewalk. I froze up. Then the thing hovered towards me, which was when my heart sank to the point where I had to run. The damn thing was real, in all its inexplicable weirdness. What was it made of? How did it exist? I sprinted along the sidewalk, glancing back only to see the damn orb continuing to hover after me. Adrenaline rising, I took a left at the next sidewalk, glancing around for an out. Unfortunately, nowhere seemed safe enough. It was just a quiet suburb. While sprinting for my life, I called the police, telling them a wild coyote was loose. I mean, what would they think if I told them the truth? As I continued running, a man was about to walk by me in the opposite direction when he stopped, looking on in confusion before backing up and turning back to run away. Seeing the look of fear on his face was validating, although gut-wrenching. I picked up my pace, but my body went cold. Next thing I know, I'm lying on my couch, staring up at the ceiling. All the lights were on. I sat up, then glanced around. What happened? What was I doing here? Some amount of time went by and I was unconscious. A little pit formed in my stomach while I got up on my 2 feet, glancing around in confusion. A transparent orange and yellow orb formed a couple of feet away from me. It was beautiful and gave me a deep sense of mental comfort. I hadn't felt it in 2 years. It was like a heavy weight was lifted, and it was euphoric. If it wasn't for the comfort and the fact I had seen the orb on video, I'd be freaking out and calling my doctor to talk about hallucinations. My brain was being forced to trust what I was seeing was real. Then, I swore I had an auditory hallucination. Somebody uttered my full name, sending chills down my spine that were then alleviated by the same telepathic influence calming me down. There was a hunch the orb was trying to communicate with me in a way I could understand. I was in disbelief I was seeing it in front of me. I was still going to call my doctor, but the hunch grew stronger. It was the orb. What the fuck? The thing spoke to me again. Yes, I'm transferring my own thoughts to you. My stomach sank. This angelic orb had full control over my mental state. That was a terrifying thought to have, and the orb didn't make that thought go away. The only thing I could do was respond. What's going on, exactly? You should not have been roped into this. I will prevent your life from going down a path many others have. What are you talking about? It's best you stay out of this. You have no control over it, and it isn't even guaranteed anything in the last 5 videos will happen in this particular reality. You being brought into this at all is the fault of your friend, Jessica. Why would she bring me into something I wasn't supposed to? When people want to find something to believe in, they'll believe in anything. Sometimes they end up being right. I have confronted her, but she told me her life was in a different place. I'm guessing a place it shouldn't be in. You want your friend back. You want closure on the past couple of years. Do you have an idea of how I can ethically help? I'm able to transfer thoughts, memories, and feelings. Well, you can give her my memories, but don't make her feel exactly what I felt or anything. Just the memories. Alright, done. The orb vanished. With it, the deep mental content vanished as well, leaving a freezing pit of sadness and dread behind. It was like falling into a deep hole. I called my doctor. We scheduled an appointment for next week. I have no idea how he's going to take this information in. He'll either take it as me hallucinating or me confusing dreams with reality. Then again, I do still have that USB. The next morning, I got a knock on my front door. Answering it, I saw Jessica. Tears were running down her face. A rush of euphoria washed through me. She was actually here. Jessica wrapped her arms around me and apologized for leaving me alone. I smiled. Well, I'm excited about you being back. She pulled away, smiling. We should get a coffee or something. I can explain everything. Then we can go back to talking about popular music and stuff. Yeah, for sure. I thought I had more time to recount, but I just got an urgent call from my boss. I'm going to leave it here. I'm sitting here wondering how any of that even happened. It was weird, but I'm going to try to focus on other matters since I clearly wasn't supposed to know anything about whatever any of that was supposed to be anyway. I'm so happy my friend is in my life again.